Thanks, Craig. Yeah, if you came to hear Kristen Weber talk today, well, I'm sorry. She and I work on the Every Acre Counts program, and I'll introduce you to her in a little bit here. But as of today, I can say that Kristen's talking about Every Acre Counts at another location, and that's why I'm here today. So kind of filled in for that role. I originally wasn't going to be in South Dakota during this week, but my plans changed as well, so it worked out really good for everybody. So we're talking about this project in two different locations. So as I said, Kristen Weber there leading off the list. You know who I am, and then Dr. Matt Dearson is a livestock economist on campus, farm business management professor, and he's the other co-director of the program. First of all, I want to highlight our partners in the program. It got started because of an idea, bore out of several years of witnessing habitat being established or not established, and the frustrations with that, and so the Governor Dugard's initiative, the Second Century Fund, what that means is we've had 100 years of hunting in our state, and so now we're planning for the second century of that. And you all know how important hunting is in South Dakota, and you just look at the names of these rooms above these doors out here, and you can see that impact, and it's a big deal. So that Second Century Fund, right there at the top, committed $1 million to this effort. And the challenge was to find matching funds for that million, and NRCS came along and said, yep, we'll come alongside and help that go. And then they needed a place for that project to land. They didn't even have a name, just ideas. And so SDS Extension is filling that role, and I got handed the keys, okay? I didn't have a car to drive, but I had some keys. And so Dr. Dearson and I went to work with our partners and developed the Every Acre Counts program. It got a name, and so over time, our most influential partner has been Pheasants Forever. You'll see today I'm wearing a Pheasants hat, not an SDSU hat, but they've been a really good partner. They brought along Purina that gave them a huge grant for this work as well. And so we've been working together for the last 4+ years on Every Acre Counts. Our other partners are the Soil Health Coalition, Ducks, of course, South Dakota GFNP, is there as well, South Dakota Corn, and then AgTegra has been a valued partner as well. So as I talk about this, you'll understand the significance of having all of these groups, in a sense, buying into this concept. There we are, that's Dr. Dearson on campus. Here's Kristen. We hired her in 2019. She's a precision ag specialist. She makes precision ag software look easy, okay? It's not easy for me. I'm learning a lot from Kristen. I want to be able to do what she does, but I've fully realized that that's probably not my role in life. But so we hired her. We're very happy to have her. She is a Pheasants Forever employee through a cooperative agreement with SDSU Extension. So the goals of the project are lofty, of course. We have to come up with lots of words to describe those goals, but basically we're striving to improve the profitability, diversity, and ecosystem benefits on our operations today. And we're seeking to use precision ag technologies to do that, to empower farmers with their own data to help identify marginal lands. And then the expected outcomes, would be that information that we provide to them through the reports that we generate. You'll see a report sheet that we generate, and so that they can make decisions about their own farm. And we call this a working lands project, and what that means is the producer's in control. Obviously, the producer gives us their precision farming data, their economic input data. That's very confidential stuff, and we hold that to a high level. We do not share that data with anybody. Currently, there's only 3 people that have the capability of seeing that data. That's myself, Kristen, and Dr. Dearson. And so if this project were ever to just go away and we quit paying our software fees, that data would just evaporate. So that's one of the stumbling blocks we've kind of had, I think, is convincing producers that your information is safe with our project. So basically, in a nutshell, precision profitability analysis identifies marginal field areas, and I'll show you how we do that. And removing this marginal lands, again, this is the producer's choice, where and what to remove. We know, and I'll show you data, that shows that increases profitability. And it's kind of alarming in a lot of cases. So some of the marginal lands that we're talking about are pretty obvious to you all. The alkali spots, the saline soils, the sodic soils, the salt areas, whatever you want to call them, have been growing over the last few years. That's a whole nother, topic to talk about how that happens, and I'm not going to do that today. But just to have a couple pictures of these areas. It's a water use, water supply issue, salt supply, whatever. And then we even have a picture of one of those areas blowing. That salt blows because that soil structure is very poor. Soil health in those areas is non-existent. It's really an ugly situation. And I think as producers and agriculturists, we have to really be concerned about how the non-ag public sees this. They have eyes too. They drive around the country and their perceptions are real. And I say this because a producer by Groton helped me understand a little bit more about what we're doing, because one of his landowners said to him, "What you're doing on those acres just looks better." And that's a big deal. We talk about dollars, we talk about soil health, we talk about all of that, but still there's a perceived perception, and I think we all need to think about that. So we know we can fix, I hate that word, but we know we can remediate these salty soils, and quite frankly, the power of the plant, the living root, is the best way. Sure, a pipe can go a long ways to taking excess water away, but think about all of those salts going through that pipe into the creek, into the river. That's an asset. Why would we want to get rid of all of those minerals and things in our landscape? We have to question that. Anyway, here's an example of how perennials can fix this situation. Of course, our eroded hillsides are another example. Marginal lands. This is the case more where I'm from, where I farm in Minnehaha County. I'm showing you a draw, if you will, a drainage area down the middle of that field. But you'll notice that the soil in that draw is lighter colored, right? And so that material is eroding from the eroded hillside that's to the left and to the right of that draw. So, we're really changing the landscape, and all these conferences and things all talk about that. And here's another example of Oops. Okay. There we go. There we go, of a waterway that's eroding away. A great example of marginal land. That little rill there is going to produce 0, right? It was planted, it was fertilized, it was sprayed, and it's producing 0. We have the precision technology to address that. We have sprayers that control individual nozzles. There's no excuse for having something like that occur today. Of course, our other marginal lands are our wetland areas, those wetlands that are temporary or only wet during certain types of years with excess water. Those are marginal lands as well. So what do we do and how do we do this? Well, it's all built around precision profitability analysis. You as a producer just need to say, hey, Anthony or Kristen or Matt, I want to start a conversation. So it's all based upon your interest in the program. We have tried advertising, and quite frankly, we get the wrong people interested. We want active producers interested in this program, okay? So it's your choice. Then we collect the data, we sign a data use agreement, collect the data. Kristen starts working with your data and your farm, and we're going to ask you for some economic input data. You have to know what you spend for seed per acre. You have to know what you spend for fertilizer per acre. You have to know that. And in 2023, you'd think we would all, be able to spit those numbers out and have those records. But it's difficult. I do understand. So we work with you where you're at, and try to make everything better. So you get to set the market price we use to do this analysis. You get to set other parameters as well. And then Kristen goes to work. She does her magic. She can do this so fast. It's mind-blowing to me. And I'm sitting there going, now how did you do that? Yeah, it's just amazing. She's really important for this project. So we get those results, and then we try to come and sit down with you. We like to meet in your shop, and we bring along the report, and depending on how many acres we do, they can get kind of thick. And the idea isn't to waste a bunch of ink or paper. It's to give you something actually there it is. And it sits on your desk or goes on a shelf, and its presence is known, right? It's a reminder. Because these decisions that you make based upon that report, they're big decisions. We all realize that. There's no pressure and there's no obligation at any time to do anything. The producer controls the steps. So as I mentioned, that confidentiality agreement is pretty important to us. It's probably a document more for us to prove or show to you that we're serious about keeping your data confidential. And our Vice President of Research actually signs that document at SDSU. This data is stored and protected. We only give those reports to the participant. We've had participants tell us, you can use this data. Please share this data with others. And we've done that. I have an example. And overall, the data will be aggregated together to form more meaningful summaries for policymakers, for the public to see that agriculture is doing its diligence in addressing this issue on the landscape. So Kristen can get the data from practically any source. I know I don't have them all up there, or we don't have them all up there, but we're just trying to show you that we had a producer who had data from 3 different types of systems. And Kristen weeded the way through that. okay? We've had producers say, you know, I don't even know where it's at. I don't even know where my data is at. And hey, Kristen is like a huge asset to help you figure that out. And so she can get through that. This is just an example of the detail of the expenses. You know, it's very detailed, but if you have a number in mind that you're very confident that you spend $554.23 on an acre of corn, we'll take that number. I mean, that's pretty, you're in control, okay? We'll do that. It's probably better if it's more exact. I know it is, but you're in the driver's seat. So what she does with the yield maps is the software that we have can take a year of corn, a year of soybeans, 2 years of wheat, any combination of any type of yield map, and it will normalize those yield data, and it will make one normalized yield map to represent all of that data. Okay? And then if your crop choice is corn, and your yield for that field is 150 bushels, Kristen will use that data on the normalized yield map to make a yield map, okay? And then takes your economic input data and we calculate a precision profitability map. And this is what that report looks like. It has that yield map based upon the normalized yield, as well as the actual yield for that field. And then it has a profitability distribution and a return on investment map. And then the bottom two on this slide are yield increase to break even or expenses reduction to break even. You're looking at it from two different ends, right? And so it's just a way for you to sort through what this really means. Because these are your fields, you know your fields. We've taken a really in-depth look at it, but there are still things that you know about these fields that sometimes the precision data can't totally parse out, but it's pretty close. So the first example I'd like to show you is on corn. This is a real-life field, and she did the analysis as the field was on the left side of the slide. And in the middle of the slide, she took out a couple of those marginal areas circled in red. Okay? And then she redid the analysis of that field, and that table is right below that area there. So you can see that the yield on the field as it was roughly 199 bushels. Taking out those two areas just automatically increased the yield on the remaining part of the field by 10 bushels an acre. Now think about what that means, because you took those areas that are dragging the yield down, you took them out. And so those good acres no longer have to prop up those poor acres. Now you give that number to your insurance agent and you do this 10 years in a row, you've got a higher APH than if you would have done it the way you always do it. And then in a drought year or whenever happens, you've got more protection. That's one of the ways we're trying to study the impact of every acre counts is on that very issue itself. Here's another example of a half section. And Kristen did her analysis. That's the left side. This time the farmer, I want to go back. Kristen just took out those areas to build the concept, to show the producer the possibilities. I want to reiterate that the producer still draws the lines if there's any type of program that they want to go into, okay? That's important because because this is a working lands program. So in this example, you can see the field, the half section on the left, that 320 acres there or whatever it is. And then you can see in the middle, that's the area that the producer actually took out. They told Kristen to, go at an angle there, and you can see there's a angled area down the middle of that field taken out, and there's some along the bottom edge or the south side of that field taken out, and then there's a little strip kind of up towards the right side of that field taken out. That was their choice. That's the lines they drew, okay? And so same impacts on the field. This time the overall yield there was at approximately 133, and then the yield of the remaining acres after those marginal lands taken out went up to 149. Okay? So this is all about putting your inputs where they're most apt to give a return and not drag down the total farming operation. Another real example is this field here, a 200-acre field. You can see it's outlined in the orange there. You can see where the marginal lands are. This is a drone picture of that field. Okay. Kristen did the analysis there. 160 bushel average yield across that whole field. Okay. And then that's the before, and here's the after. So you can see the farmer took out about 100 acres out of that field and seeded it to a perennial. And what's left is what's outlined in orange. And the yield of that remaining field is now 190. Didn't change anything. Planted corn like they always plant corn, but taking out the bad acres, the marginal acres. Think about how much money is being borrowed to invest in a poor investment around the state. I think it's huge. I started this discussion or talking about the kind of the impetus for the project was habitat. And I was really told from the beginning, dude, don't sell this as a habitat program. Don't sell this as a habitat program. Because kind of maybe the negative way that could be perceived. But right away I saw how important it was, because it really makes sense. And so, great improvements have been demonstrated. I really think it's currently it's free. There's no charge to have this done. Our grant is running out. We're looking for more money. We've had a promise for more money, but there's no paperwork been done yet for that promise, but hopefully it comes. Our goal is to really just hand this over to agronomists. Every agronomist, I think, should be doing this and providing some sort of service like this for their customers. And if that happened, we'd be done, right? We'd be out of work. And that's great. We want to be out of work because we believe in this so much. So that producer took roughly 100 acres out. The yield on the remaining acres increased by almost 30 bushel. The ROI improved, and so forth. And so just really good examples. Now, lastly, I want to talk about the impact. We've had some hindrances to acceptance of the program, and one of those is possible price change. Well, what if corn goes to $7 next year? I don't want to take those acres out. I could grow a few more bushels of corn, right? And so here's just an analysis of a field where the price is set at $6.50 a bushel. Just get an idea for the colored areas. Those are the unprofitable areas. And if we change that price, now watch really close, that's $6.50. There's $5. So those areas grow, don't they? It's not rocket science. It's not high-level mathematics. It's easy to see. It's easy to understand. So that's been one of the really kind of sticky points for where to draw those lines in the field. How much do I commit to a perennial and take out? The future is weighs heavy on decisions like that. And we totally get that. We do. We totally get that. Well, at the beginning of the program, we did the analysis a little bit differently, and this example is kind of cumbersome, but it's a whole farm. It's 11 fields, about 880 acres. The profit and loss were broken out into categories, but really we need to look at the far right, the loss column. Okay, so that's the percent of the field that was at a loss, given the mathematics we used, the price of corn and so forth for this example. But I really want to kind of hone in on the total effect on a farm. And this is in corn and soybean country. Okay? That percent loss in those fields, it ranges from what, 3% up to 46%? So the fields are all different, right? I mean, that's the precision. That's the beauty of the precision analysis. And that data you've been collecting for years, we want to put some meaning to it now. So that's what we're trying to do. But the total impact on this farm was spending $73,000 on a loss. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a state employee. That's a really good salary for a state employee. I mean, that's like tops. That's a lot of money. Okay? So there's a number of programs that we work with. We do not care what program you want to use. We'll help you whichever road you want to go down. Pheasants Forever had soil health and habitat program. Because Pheasants was our partner, did we have to promote that 100%? Absolutely not. We did not do that. We actually got SHHEP money from other states that weren't spending it because Kristen was doing such a great job, okay? There's a number of our producers went into CRP because that was right for them. And then I've got EQIP and CSP, and just imagine now with climate smart commodities and all these other things that are coming at you, how many opportunities there could be, right? This will affect your carbon score. That GREET model that you heard about, that Mitchell talked about, taking these unproductive lands out, that's going to improve that score. It will, It's easy to understand. So today we've had almost 53,000 acres analyzed. Represents 42 farms. We currently are working with 3 new growers. 2,500 acres of that 53,000 have been entered into some sort of perennial type program. And then there's 100 acres that producers just went on their own and did it. It made so much sense to them, they just said, we're just going to plant the grass and it'll just be grass and we'll hay it or do whatever. And absolutely, that's a win. That's a win for us. We've got some promotional videos coming out. Please just search SDSU Every Acre Counts and you'll get on a landing page and there'll be a video there. And the first video is what change looks like. It's short, I think it's 6 or 7 minutes. Give it a look. There's 6 more videos going to come. We spent over a year and a half traveling around South Dakota, interviewing our leading producers. We have a lot of producers that have been doing this type of thing for years. It's not a new concept. It's not a new concept. So we interviewed them and we interviewed producers that were in the program and we just want to share it with everybody. So we also have a crop insurance company that is doing this, a smaller crop insurance company that is providing some sort of precision profitability analysis for their customers. And that's totally their thing, okay? We would like all crop insurance companies to do this, okay? But that's our goal, and we're always looking for more grants. Okay, in summary, I really believe Every Acre Counts brings consensus among all of our agricultural and conservation groups. Now we can say habitat. It's good for habitat. It's the right thing to do, right? It's the right thing to do. So these marginal lands are set aside and they're not farmed. They're treated the way they should be treated. Not because they have a brain or anything, but why would you make a poor investment on your farm in something that's just not going to pay back? You see, the problem is you all have been taught to go after the last bushel on that yield curve. That last 2 or 3 or 5 bushels means so much, right? Because you've got fixed costs. Your corn dryer is spread across total bushels. Your tractor is spread across total acres. See? And the total acres decreases the cost of that tractor. And the total bushels decreases the cost of drying a bushel of corn. So we go after those last bushels, and we got to change that mentality. We got to do that. So environmentally, this could be huge. It'll improve your GREET score. Water quality and soil health are definitely improved. Of course, that wildlife habitat is just going to come along for the ride, and it's going to be an awesome thing. Okay? Crop risk coverage on your insurance policy will be affected in a positive way, right? You're going to insure less acres, and when you do have a loss, it's going to be bigger because those bushels you report are higher. And of course, on-farm profitability improved. And then lastly, the non-ag public. They're stakeholders in this whole thing as well. I think they're going to like what they see. So with that, those are all wins. And this is my contact information. We have a booth out in the hallway. Take a card, give me a call, give Kristen a call, whatever, if you want to get in on the program. So thank you for your time.